Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:01. Roll call.
Dave present.
Perfect, yeah.
Bouchard here. The minutes of November 12th. Have you guys had a chance to read them?
Can't lie. No.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course you did.
You see anything wrong with them?
Nope.
Neither do I. I make a motion that we accept the minutes as they are.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public session. You guys, if you want to, depends what you want to talk about.
I'm just here, I'm representing the Hysterical Society.
Hysterical society? Okay.
And just curious to see what the plans are and the fate of this.
Of the wall? Yeah, oh, good. Well, there's no one online? We have no? Nope. All right, so let's go to Oak Hill Cemetery wall.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I just I want to introduce John Frawley. He is from Ty and Bond, the senior structural engineer. We've been working closely with John and his team throughout this process, and he's got some stuff to show you through the work we've done this year. If you remember, last year we put in some money, probably 2 years ago at this point, and that gave us like a brief analysis of what was there, some high-level cost options. In this past fiscal, we put in more money. We did a survey, we did geotechnical work, and we have some plans drawn up, some more defined, a little bit more defined cost estimates, and some options to show you guys. And that's kind of where we stand today. So, John, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So as Ryan stated, back in October of 2024, we did a conditions assessment of the retaining walls at the Oak Hill Cemetery and the Chockset Cemetery. We did a conditions assessment on the walls, and we provided some high-level repair costs and replacement costs. And we provided replacement costs for 3 options. It was like a precast ready rock wall, a stone gravity wall, and then a cantilever concrete retaining wall with a form liner, stained form liner to look like a stone wall. So then in May of this year, Ryan reached out to us and he wanted us to progress the Oak Hill Cemetery walls and advance it to like a 30% conceptual level design, and to look at a gravity wall, a cantilever concrete wall with possibly a stone facing and a real masonry facing and a one with a form liner. So the plans that you have that I passed out, everything that's plans are on these boards. So the first 2 sheets are basically just showing the wall that's there now. Some of the main issues when we did our conditions assessment is that's a stone and mortar wall, and there's really no drainage behind the wall. So you're getting lateral earth pressure and hydrostatic pressure that's pushing the wall. And, there's disjointed stones, the capstones are displaced, so a lot of deterioration. So if we were going to try to repair this wall, we would need to excavate behind the wall and put in free draining material, weak drains. But the biggest issue with doing that is, in order to dig behind the wall, you're going to have to put in an earth retention system. So once you get to the point of putting in an earth retention system, you might as well replace the wall. So that's how we kind of. So like I said, the first 2 drawings are basically showing the walls that's there. The second 2 drawings are basically the dash line is approximately 10 feet from the face of the wall, and that would be where our soldier pile and lagging earth retention wall would be, and then we would excavate out and construct the wall in front of the earth retention. So that's the sheet, and this sheet on both sides of the entrance, on both sides of the entranceway. Some issues with this, currently there's power lines that are on this side of the road that are gonna have to get moved to the opposite side of the road in order to get a rig in there to drive your soldier piles and do your construction of the wall. The perpendicular lines are where we cut sections. So during during this phase, we had Sherman and Frederick, they went out and did the topographic survey of the construction or the wall area. So all the topography that you see on these plans, that was Sherman and Frederick. And then we also did geotechnical borings and prepared a geotechnical report along the wall. So we advanced that option. So the cross sections that I have shown on the next sheet are basically a reinforced concrete cantilevered wall with a 6-inch stone facing and a capstone. We have drainage behind the wall, and then the vertical is the soldier pile and lagging wall that would have to go in. That would be temporary until they constructed the wall, and then they would pull out the soldier piles and backfill it and put put everything back the way it is. So the option I'm showing here is just the gravity wall. We had various sections along the wall which are showing drainage behind the wall, and again reinforced concrete walls with a stone masonry veneer. The next sheet is just basically the same, just a section showing a wall with it would be a form liner. So it's basically just a mold that gets put into the forms, and then they place the concrete, and then when they strip the forms, it looks like a stone pattern, and then you stain it to make it, look nice. You can pick several colors, and you can get pretty much any stone pattern that you want. They basically have, books where you can go through and pick. They have all different kinds of stone patterns that you can select depending on what you want for the look of the wall. And then on the next slide just shows some examples. The top two pictures are where we use form liner and we stain the walls. We should have a dam and exit risk, allowing the water levels down. So normal pool, you would only see the stone, you wouldn't see the concrete. And then the two pictures below at East Mill Pond Dam, that's a reinforced concrete cantilevered retaining wall with a stone face. That's just two examples of what so we can kind of get an idea of what each would look like. And then I also included a picture of a soldier pile, earth retention wall. So you had an idea of what that would have to get constructed up the slope to hold the slope back, and then they would excavate in front of the wall to put in the new retaining wall. We've done preliminary conceptual cost estimates for the wall's about approximately 730 feet long, somewhere in that neck of the woods. For the cantilevered wall with the stone veneer, about 4.6 million. And then for the form liner with the stained concrete, you're looking at about 3.9 million. That includes the engineering, construction, bidding phase, and construction phase services.
Go ahead.
You had mentioned some permits And one of them was, for the historical piece. What was that?
That was a PNF, project notification form.
Okay,
And then the other permits that our permitting department said, I think there might be some wetlands on the other side of
yes,
the
there
road.
definitely is.
So
Yeah,
I don't know, I don't know if we're in the buffer zone, but
Right.
we would either do
an RDA.
an RDA or a notice of intent, one or the other. And
Good news is it's on the other side of a
Right.
curved road and, yeah.
that's right. So those were the permits that and currently we're still finishing up, cleaning up the plans so that we can give you a set of drawings and a formal broken down cost estimate.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a big piece.
So I have a couple of questions
Yep.
about, because before everybody showed up, we were talking about saving the capstones, the granite stones that are there, and reusing them. I mean, because I know them.
I think they're a dime a dozen. You can get those anywhere.
Well, they're still expensive.
They're not gonna be reused, not on this type of wall.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, add another 100 grand to
Yeah,
reuse them.
it is.
Well, maybe. But my overall question was more about timing. And it seems like right now there's not a lot of certain kinds of work, municipal work. And I'm just wondering if this would be a favorable time to be going out to bid, in your opinion, or if you're not sure, just say whatever. But,
Yeah,
you know,
we're still in the conceptual design phase, but I mean, we're pushing projects out to bid all the time. And I mean, the prices have come down a little since COVID.
Uh-huh.
It's not as bad as it was during the COVID time period.
The stained form liner.
Yep.
What's the interval on that needing?
How often do you have to stain it?
Yeah,
The Baxter Grist Mill, those pictures that we did that wall back in, I want to say 2017. I can have somebody on a tape office take pictures of it.
yeah, I'm just curious. Is it like every 5 years? Is it every 20? Is it,
Yeah, I don't think it's every 5 years.
okay,
Like I did a stone wall, like stained at the NDC in Hartford. I think they only stained it when they did the job. I don't think they've been back and stained it.
okay.
I think it just kind of ages like stone. And then obviously unless someone even has scrapes that or drives a car into it or something.
gee, I can't believe that would ever happen.
From face of the stone out, complete face into the banking. How far back do you have to go?
It's right here.
Well, could you have trees? You have,
Yeah,
All kinds of other
10
things.
feet. We're 10 feet from the face of the wall to the,
so those trees will have to be,
that's, we might be able to pull the wall in a little. I'm just thinking that the guy's got to set forms up there and they got to get the, room.
well, you look at this first picture and you look at the trees.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, one of those big trees is
yeah, it's right
the
in.
culprit of why this wall is pushing out, because the
Probably.
roots don't shrink.
Right.
So
Yep.
we're gonna spend all this kind of money and the tree is still growing, so
Not after this work.
Yeah, now-
No cuts.
we need to know if we have to take the trees and if we're allowed to take the trees or all that stuff too. That has to come into, and how far away from the old tombs or graves
Right.
we have to be.
And that
So-
we would have to coordinate with the.
I mean, we need to know that first before we even.
Right.
That's the biggest thing for me, is it's someone's,
Yes.
Yeah, we're not.
okay,
Obviously-
and if we're too close,
Right.
then we gotta go to Plan B.
Yep. They located some of the
Closer stones.
stones. But I think there's one on the left side when I overlaid it with Google Earth, it seems like they either didn't draft it or they didn't pick it up. So I gotta go back and add that, but it was at the top of the embankment. And we were kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Of the embankment.
Mhm.
Obviously, for conceptual purposes, right now, we just pick 10 feet. If we had to pull it in a little.
Right.
We could pull the wall in a little.
Are we talking about trying to ease it up a little too, so that the pitch of
The slope was left. What is our ability with the same footing size to go higher?
Yeah, I think we went a couple feet higher, but we could. Probably not much higher, but I would have to.
But even a couple feet would help us in this case. You
I
know what I
thought we
mean?
raised it, I thought released the wall elevation up.
We'd have to look at the existing. I don't remember what the existing
Are
was.
any of them 7 feet? They're almost 6'10"
6'10".
above the sidewalk. I don't think any of those walls are that high.
Down.
So you definitely have raised,
so.
Yeah, because we wanted to flatten the,
yeah,
because that slope is on the contours, if you look at the contours, that slope is.
I know, it's.
The idea was raising it. wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Why we wagging it?
And then
Yeah.
the question, and then I don't know, I have to look into whether they're gonna, if you're within a certain amount, a certain distance to a wall, a retaining wall that you can walk behind, or it's a public walk space, you might need to put guardrail up.
Oh,
On top of it.
Yeah, so that nobody falls off and,
that would certainly change the aesthetics.
yeah.
Mhm.
That would be probably on the left side of.
Where it's high, yeah, the
Yeah.
right side. The right side is where it comes way down,
Yeah.
but
You
it's
probably want to
short
look
wall.
like a wrought iron thing, or not like a painted steel rail. You probably want something.
Catch me real.
So if we're up almost 7 feet, just say we're up 7 feet, somebody tumbled off of that, that's not gonna be.
No.
Mhm. What would happen if you did planting up on top and instead of grass? So you made it very difficult to get to the top of the wall?
Code.
Yeah, it still has to meet code, but
The planting does that, I don't think.
It's interesting thought.
It is a gray area because in the code, it doesn't, like, the building code specifically says, or like when you have walls and stuff that are out.
Right. Really, what the code says is anything greater than 4 feet needs to be
Right.
designed, can't just be slapped together, essentially.
Right, the
That's,
wall.
yeah, the wall itself,
And
right?
then, but as far as a guardrail, it's,
I'd be interested in that. I never even considered that.
because I know we do a lot of these near reservoirs and stuff, and that's always the question.
Mhm.
And if it's within a certain distance of like a path a public walking path.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk, parking lot, but even like a path that people walk, through, trail that people walk through, that's public. They make you put it, I wanna say it's like within 10 feet or something like that, but I'd have to,
Cemetery road right there too.
it's kind of like a gray area.
The stone, sorry, go ahead.
if you look at the stone veneer concept image, you have no railing there, and that's quite a drop into the water.
Yeah, I didn't put the railing. Oh, you're talking about on the,
Yeah,
yeah, because that's at the, Baxter Grist Mill, they did not want,
of course they
the
did.
historic commission didn't want rail there, and I'd have to talk to the project manager on that, and how they got it.
So that's in Paxton. It's called, Moore State Park.
Yeah.
In Paxton. I've sat on that wall. You can sit, it's,
Not 7 feet high.
no, certainly not 7 feet tall, but you do fall in the water.
You could fall in the water,
Right.
and that's, you think about kids.
The stone face concept, is that what you refer to as a DOT wall? Is that
The DOT wall is a gravity wall. So
Right.
It's stone,
It's
it's
all
just stone masonry, and it relies
And that's-
strictly on gravity to prevent it from overturning and from sliding.
What's
Really?
there now?
So those walls along Route 2, those are all gravity walls?
I think those are gravity walls, and they're massive, and, they're.
They have to be.
The only reason I thought of that is I'm so used to seeing those walls with that chain link fence on top, right? Because that's what they put on a road corridor or a road thoroughfare, if you will. So that makes
And
sense.
those are really labor intensive to walls to be built.
Especially you're going up 20 feet or something.
Yeah, and the base estimate there.
What, 10 feet or something? Yeah, that's a lot. Wow.
But we can certainly reach out to the I can have our permit people reach out to the historical commission. Touch base.
Well, I mean, Jim, I don't know if you had any thoughts or anything. I know Kat, you just came in, but, just any opinions or?
Well, I can convey that the discussions within the historical commission regarding this project were a concern for the aesthetics, a concern for the fact that it's a 131-year-old wall.
Yep.
And so therefore it's an historical asset.
Yep.
I can certainly understand where to keep it the way it is, to dig behind it and put in drainage is cost prohibitive. To Blaine's point, and we discussed this a little bit as well, wondered if the capstones could be preserved and reused, and if that is a cost factor, that may be prohibitive, but it at least would restore and maintain a certain element of the original.
On the other hand,
Anything else I'm missing?
I would have to look into how we could like attach. Because
They're not attached now, they're just.
They're sitting there.
If you just sit them in, you could just sit them in a mortar bed, but
right, well, that's how they do it.
They're just sitting there now.
But if what Dean's saying and Dean and Andy are indicating that it's might be more expensive to reuse those rather than get new ones, that's still an option. I mean, it's just, if we're gonna go through millions of dollars for this wall and have it not look elegant when it's done, how, that would be a crime, I think. And yeah, we can't be penny wise on this. I think we have to be worried about the cost, but that's our loved ones there. I mean, his loved ones, we can't.
Oh, right.
That's good enough for me, right? I just kind of, and I'm worried that somebody's gonna get hurt walking by, because I don't think that wall's gonna cave in anywhere, but
No.
you never know,
This is fall out of it.
It's just the middle of it is, I mean, the middle of it is just falling apart. I mean, the stones are falling out. I don't think the granite is on top. There's spots that it's separating from one another.
Yep.
But I don't believe they're in any position that they're gonna fall off.
Right.
They're
There were some that were.
The earth is shifting, the underneath is giving
Yeah, it's all
away.
And there, again, there's no drainage. I think one of the walls had a weep hole, but I don't think
We found some pipes, but they were
blocked.
Yeah.
clogged. And that was only on the tall
The
side.
north side, yeah.
Yeah, the short
Or
side.
whatever direction that is.
Yeah,
yeah.
southern stuff.
Now, you said the power lines have to be moved. Now they have to be moved temporarily and then put back,
Well,
That'd be up to,
That'd be up to the light department.
because just moving them across the street, 2, 3, 4 poles, 3 poles I think is a lot of work. I mean,
well,
It'd be a very different conversation.
and to put it back to where it is now, if we have to move those power lines, I would like to have them put back the way it looks now. I mean,
So you'd move
it
them up,
would,
that happens.
if you need them out of the way temporarily, ask the light department if they can
There's any
be.
way that they're gonna be able to get a machine in there to put in sheeting there.
What if we, so just a thought, like, really it's a crane, right? With some sort of, like a vibratory head or something to drive those solar panels. What if, so we have essentially a 4-lane road, right? So we have 2 full lanes, 2 full shoulders.
Yep.
Like, what if we took a portion of that southbound lane, you know what I mean? And shifted traffic for a duration of time. Like, is there a possibility we could get up and over? I mean, obviously they insulate all the wires and all that good stuff, but that's something I can talk to the light department about. We have a community light department, which is great. I was thinking about that. I'm like, if there's a way to shift
Where's the
traffic
water main?
on that
On
side,
the
in the
side
road. It's in the
of the
road.
shift or on
It would be on the
Oak Hill
side.
side?
It's on the Oak Hill side,
Yeah, what about,
but it's on the white line.
what about raising the power?
I don't know about the OSHA regulations either for like operating.
It'd be a question for a crane company. Yeah, it'd be a question for a crane
Yeah,
company.
I don't either. I think it'd
It's
be
something to probably
Oh, yeah.
consider if it's gonna
Has
be
to
a
move them too.
Yeah,
$40,000-$50,000 move of a line or
Oh,
more,
I understand.
or they'll do it for us.
Was
one or
that
the other.
voltage 15 feet?
15
Yeah.
feet.
And I don't. And you're gonna get 10.
I mean, there's a lot of things you have to look at
Oh, yeah.
before you look at the design or what you're gonna do. I mean, you gotta look at the trees, you gotta look how close the stones are, the people buried, whatever they are, before we pick out a design.
But I think it's important that you guys look at this and give at least some, thought into, because it all kind of comes together at the same time, right? Like footing sizes are different, so
right.
some of it depends on the design of how it's approached moving forward. So I think it's,
Yeah, we're at the conceptual level, so this is where we're,
having these
having
conversations.
Yeah, because once you go by the end of the cemetery opening to the trees that go more towards the north side, you'll probably have to take more of those trees down. As you're looking at, if you go towards the hillside,
Oh, yeah.
opening more of that wall, it does go into the trees more.
Yeah.
And you're getting further than power lines wise and tree wise.
Are you against taking trees?
I don't want to disturb any growth of
But you
trees. It's like a personal, people are in there that they don't want to be, I'm not saying they don't want to be, but opening it up more than it already is. Because behind it is nothing but a hill going up to the second layer of stones.
trees die. So,
They're not gonna die before I die.
yeah, you know what? I think if we get too close with this construction, I think Andy's right. I think those trees are,
No. I
They're
mean,
not
that's the
gonna live.
rule. No cuts or fills inside the drip line.
yeah.
And I mean, it may take 10 years to kill the tree, but no cuts or
Exactly.
fills inside the drip line.
Right.
That's the rule of thumb.
It really is, and there's no way around it. So as soon as you get close to the tree, you might be better off thinking about replacing it. Because I think that would be a more realistic approach. So if you're trying to save the tree, then that means you don't do the wall. And at some point that
Takes care of the historical
But
part.
remember, we had a whole line of dead trees in Hillside that we had to deal with, right? And, because he died. And I know I have a lot of dead trees happening on my property because of the emerald ash borer. And, these things happen. So I agree with you about not wanting to lose any trees, but I think realistically, it's not even the tail wagging the dog here. And from a cost standpoint, if you get a really nice tree for a couple of grand and it's easy to put in, especially if the power lines aren't there and you can move them. You just drop it. And that might actually be a better use of money than trying to save a tree that you're probably going to kill.
If I may, are they sugar maples?
They're all different. They're all different.
So I wonder if consulting an arborist might help, because certain species of trees can handle root cuts and survive well enough after that. And other species of trees are vulnerable and will more likely die.
Yeah.
Root separate. An arborist might be able to give you a clearer answer as to what the risk factor is.
That's good.
It's a good point.
We have one that we work with. And show them the plans and. I think it's important to note too, that whether it is a repair or a replacement, it has the soldier piles pretty much in the same spot.
Mhm.
So whether it's repair or replacement, it has the same impact on the, right behind the wall.
You might be able to pull the soldier pile up. If you're just repairing the wall and trying to get drainage in, you might be able to
Pull it in a little bit.
pull it in a little bit this way.
Hmm.
We were trying to provide room for them. So, we gotta get down there and fill the forms and walk behind the wall.
So you're trying to leave them around 4 feet in a minimum. That's what it looks like, about 4 feet.
Something like that, 3
Yeah.
feet, 4 feet.
So you can crowd it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna, if there's, we'll just find out about the trees. So that, well, I have to say my personal preference would be to go with the stone facing. Because I think it would be, a longer term solution that would require less maintenance. That would be, and I would prefer a stone cap on it. But I love the idea of reinforced concrete. I think it will outlast a loose laid. But I think a loose laid will cost a lot more than this.
And you're gonna be up the slope more.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make the wall taller and
Yeah.
Goes into today's well, dimensions for overturning.
Nope.
Would you find for soils and the geotech anything you weren't happy with?
No, it's
Okay.
all gravel.
Yeah.
Gravel, some traces of silt, your face again.
No clay or anything?
No, and it was pretty, refusal was not too far below.
Okay.
That's why our geotech said that he didn't think they'd be able to drive sheets for the earth retention system because he wouldn't be able to get enough toe. So he said that's probably what, he said that they would have to go with a soldier pile and lagging wall. Because they
Wow.
would struggle to drive the sheets.
Interesting. So I guess the question is, where do we go from here? What do you guys think the next step should be? And I'm talking from a budget standpoint, right? So I carried a highlighted box in the budget, like this is a project we're working on. I don't really have, when I submitted it back in November, knowing that we would probably discuss it more, we could kind of come up with a game plan. It's a big project. I think that, I guess, so this is like 30%. Oh yeah, you were gonna work on some numbers for me to get to 100, or get through bidding essentially.
Yeah, I have that
And then-
proposal
Okay,
and it's on Craig's desk.
yeah, that's fine. So do you think that's a good next step? Because that next 70% irons out everything you were concerned about tonight. It irons out the trees, it irons out the light, the poles and all logistics, and gets everything, all the permitting, more meetings like this, that's the right next step? I want to know what you guys think and how you want to move forward with this.
Well, I think we have to move forward. Right? I mean,
Yeah, it's not gonna get.
it's not gonna fix itself.
I mean, if we don't do anything, we're gonna spend more.
Right.
So
Or we're gonna end up in a
we need to,
problem.
I think we need to go forward and start dotting the i's, and
Do you have a preference on the style? The stone veneer?
I like the
versus
stone.
wood? I do too.
Not that I'm.
I would imagine you guys would prefer the stone veneer.
I mean, it's up, Mr. French, what would you like? As a taxpayer, what would you prefer?
Yeah, I think as long-term for the town, we could justify spending more, depending on how much more. And if the budget numbers are what you're saying, and you never have to go back to stain it.
Right.
You don't have to sit there and deal with it.
Well, even though looks like rock, you can tell it's not.
Right.
Rock, you know,
And they're very convincing.
the form liner.
The form lines they are convincing,
Yeah.
but the real stone looks better. There's no question.
100%.
What's the life expectancy of this wall?
The retaining wall, like 125 years, 100 years, is probably what we usually say, 100 years for what we design, when we design with concrete.
We got 130 out of this.
I know. So 1800s this was built?
The town warrant for 1895, Article 17, of the 1895 town warrant, called for a raise and appropriate funds for this wall.
Really? I always thought DOT built it. I was always under the impression DOT had built it when they like widened out.
There was another article in the 1905 town meeting that talked about the capstones, but I'm not sure what they were referring to.
Did you have dollar figures? Did it have dollar figures? Didn't.
Wow.
Not what it is now.
I'll send you an email if you want to send those to me. I'd like to see those. Sure. Because I know we had talked, or I talked to somebody with you guys, trying to get some pictures or some idea of when it was built. I think we knew it was pre like 1930s, but we didn't really know when.
Well, I read every town report from the 1880s through to the 20s.
Okay.
Well, there were only 2 references to this.
Wow. It's lasted its time. It's lived its life.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then when the cemetery, drawings that have like the grave locations.
Yes.
Oh, we have
But
that.
not necessarily, I don't want to show the wall.
No, I'm just.
We can show
wondering,
you
like,
that, the lot locations.
The lot
Yep.
location, so maybe we can figure out where it's like.
Yeah, and then you can almost
They
show
located
that
it.
top row,
Yeah.
and that might ease some minds as to how far away it actually is or
Yeah.
whatnot.
And
For the
if
owners
we need
of
to
those.
have Sherman and Frederick do anything else, because they picked up some of the graves, but I noticed when I had Google Earth, it looked like they missed, for some reason, one wasn't showing, so I
Okay.
called them and found out if they just didn't.
We can certainly give you that map,
Yep.
and then you might need Paul to kind of help you tie it together.
Yep.
But it's not necessarily the most consistent
Yeah.
rows and shapes, you know,
Yeah.
being an older cemetery, so.
But right,
But yeah, you can give me that proposal.
Yep.
And then we'll go for that on the budget
Mhm.
and then keep advancing it forward.
I mean, the town is aware that this is happening. The people have asked me about it, so, I mean, that doesn't mean the whole town is, but, it's not going to be cheap, we know that. But we'll see how it is.
I think it's gonna be important to work with you guys and talk with you guys about it and have you guys, you know, I'm not gonna say promote it, but at least explain that there's not really a lot of other options here, unfortunately. It's kind of what we're into. And I think, like I said, it's similar impact, whether we replace or historical wise, whether we replace or build new as far as like cutting into the slope and things like that.
And it's been very useful for me to listen to this tonight to see what the challenges are and to be able to support you guys from our perspective.
and then I guess like for the drainage behind the wall. There's, I don't know, I saw a catch basin on one of the drawings.
There's some basins.
Is it?
Yeah,
Right.
and it goes to that wetland across the street, so to
So
my knowledge, anyway.
So I guess the question would be if you just put weep holes through the wall and it will run out, or you try to tie the drainage behind the walls
It's
into.
something we should look at
Yep.
through that next phase and
Yep.
see where the basins are and how that would work.
Yep.
It's an interesting thought. Obviously, we don't want to create ice on the sidewalk.
Right.
Most of the time, you see the holes. You see
Right,
the
there's
pipe
no
holes.
sidewalk to the
Yeah, I
right,
didn't know
so
if-
just
yeah,
the sidewalk to the left.
On the right.
Right.
Left.
Right,
I didn't
yeah.
know if that store-
Which I don't understand why they.
There's holes
Deep
there.
holes.
Yeah, I don't know. There's pipes there now.
Well,
We could look at it.
This side, at least, there's grass here, so
Yes.
if they did here, it would just go into the grass.
Yep. How often do you put weed holes?
20 feet,
Every,
maybe
well,
25 feet.
Yep.
You could probably stretch it out a little. But typically,
It's pretty well drained, it's mostly gravel.
except right now, there's really nothing draining, I don't think, behind that wall. I think that's I think you're getting frost heaves. Yeah, because they really aren't. It's all mortared in, and then the water's trying to get out and just heaves and moves the wall. So always wrong.
yeah,
Always is.
be nice to have clean outs on the pipe somewhere.
I don't wanna look at a pipe sticking out of it.
No, it's just a little cap. It's even, a little cap even with the top of the, grass. We always put them in. I mean, it just,
You're still young though, this is an old wall.
yeah, I know. But if we're replacing,
That pipe is 6.5 feet underground. I don't,
we always put in clean outs so that you can wash it out. That's,
so like a 6.5 foot standpipe?
that's not a big deal. I mean, it's a 4-inch pipe, right? Or are you doing a 6?
It can be 4 to 6. I would probably go with 6. I think that's probably what
Okay.
we call out here. Our civil people would do that.
It's a long wall.
So it's like 700.
It's just,
I don't realize it's that long. It's multiple football fields.
It's long.
why do you think it's so expensive?
I know, no,
So, if we can get Mass DOT to help pay for
That'd
it.
be wonderful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for John?
No, we just got a lot of homework to do here.
Yeah.
I thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, me.
Thanks, John.
Yep. You guys want, I mean, I'm not sure I need.
You have a bunch of extra copies.
Right, so
So,
grab one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can take all of them if you want.
Yeah,
We all have a copy, so.
just show
If you want to
people,
give them to the,
show people what we're talking about, yeah.
just keep in mind, it's like 30%,
Yep.
it's,
Yes,
You got any
More
other?
discussions.
right.
This is
Good.
Because
I know it looks detailed, but it's actually, only design stuff.
just 30%, so.
Right.
Come here and figure out and we'll discuss and I'm sure everybody's happy.
Well, thank you for driving from out west.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
That's
The,
Oh, you'll get there.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Jim.
Thanks a lot, Jim. All right, next is FY 27 operating and capital budget.
Lee, we're here again.
Yeah.
Does it go by fast? Great. So you got your binders
Uh-huh.
in front of you, and what we're gonna do is we'll just go through your binders step by step. You'll see there's some paper on your pocket. Leave that there. We'll come back for that in a little while. So what we'll do is we'll just start with DPW and we'll go
Okay.
right through it. So I'll go line by line, starting on the first page, which is the snow and ice budget. So, snow and ice, we're simply proposing our annual $10,000 increase, just trying to ever get closer to where we think we may fall, on a given year. We're gonna be careful to not go over because we can overspend this item. The town expects to overspend this item every year. But we want to get it ever closer, to try to minimize that overspending impact. Obviously, this budget varies immensely with the intensity of the winter and what kind of winter we have. There's really no way to predict it. We're simply working off of averages and past numbers and things like that. So that's going from 285 to 295,000. It's about a 3.5%. That percentage changes every year because $10,000 is a little bit different on every year. Any questions on snow and ice? Moving on to DPW salary. Again, this is my salary. It includes, so all the salaries and wages line items include a 3% base wage or cost of living. That may change. I am told that may change this year. It may go to 2. We don't know yet. I won't know until probably March. But regardless, that'll all be reflected going back. But everything you see is 3%. So this includes, if you guys chose to give me a step increase next year, I didn't ask for a step increase this year, which is why it shows a little less than 3%. So this number is a little bit lower than it has been, which is totally fine. But that's why it shows less than 3 on the percent. So that's salary. 25% of that is covered from water enterprise, and that's in the form of an indirect. So that number, the total number, 25% of that is covered. DPW board, no change there. If you guys wanted to change that, it would have to come to go to town meeting because it's written in the bylaws.
Well, I'm worried about him now that he's not working.
I do more work when I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
So that's DPW board. All right, DPW wages. So this one's a little bit interesting. So we lost some longer tenured employees in FY26. And with that, the new people who come in will be starting at a lower rate. So that's why the percent change is so low, because even though they may be eligible for step increases and things like that, their wages are significantly lower than the other people who were here. So that's why you see it's only about 1% increase. I didn't change anything in terms. So what I do here is I break down every single employee. We go through every on-call pay. I go through brush dump, meetings, everything, and that we get to a number of a must-have, if you will. And then we include overtime, a certain number for overtime and things like that. And that's how we come up with the total number. So that breakdown, just for your sake, we can get to it in a minute. I don't want to go too far ahead. 766,000 and change for like the wages. Standby, the on-call time is about 17,100, and then we carry 50,000 for overtime, and we carry that every year. Don't hit it, but it's there in case you need it. It does not include anything snow and ice related. That's totally separate. But it would include like on-call during the winter and things like that. Just wouldn't include callbacks.
Okay.
So that's wages. Streetlights, you're all very familiar with that.
Yep.
I do not have a line item for that yet, but I'm not expecting a major change.
Okay.
It went down 2 years ago by about $2,000 and stayed pretty steady. I don't expect a change. I'm still waiting on the number. I get that number from Matt. He gives it to me and we just carry it. I'm pretty sure that once he gives it to me, he takes the number, divides it by 12, and that's our bill. So it doesn't waver with power or anything like that, which we're appreciative of.
How about the ones that are still in the boxes for the sidewalks? Oh, okay.
They did.
Yeah.
We only pay for the power. Trash pickup. So trash pickup, as we get more through the binder, I'll show you the backup for that. This number came directly from information you guys have already received.
What?
It came directly from the spreadsheets that we were looking at when we were looking at the different scenarios that we may have for the different percentages in the contracts. So we know this number for the next 3 years, and we have a pretty good idea of it, and we provided that to the powers that be so that they're aware. So it's about 5% increase. 5.07 is kind of what we carry. Regional recycling, that is the recycle center. Every year for the last several years has been 0. However, I'm keeping it in here because some year we're going to have to bring it back.
Yeah.
We have plenty of money in the quote unquote recycling revolving fund to cover this payment. It's only about $5,000. Again, Sterling is one of the biggest users of this site. So that's that. All right, DPW expense. So DPW expense is the operating budget, if you will. I think I said this last year, but I'll say it again. Last year we were able to do like a 2.5 year average because we've been carrying the same line items. The reports I've been giving you guys have been very similar year over year with the categories and the amounts. So now I have 3 full fiscal years of that data that I've been able to compile and average out and really see where we spend our money so that we can put together a good budget. So if you want to flip, well, sorry, don't flip yet. We'll get there. I'm jumping ahead of myself. It's about a 2% increase over the last year. Pretty reasonable, I think. Sidewalks and roads, this is going to be the last year of the $1 million borrowing, so we don't need to do anything else with that. We're right on target. We have 660,000 right now. We're going to write a bill pretty soon for 330, and we'll have 330 left, which is third, which was the goal when we did the $1 million over 3 years. Line painting, if you remember, we pulled that out of the operating budget last year and we put it in its own budget. I expect no change there. Numbers have been pretty consistent. So it's what we spend in line painting a year.
Okay, just a sec. Didn't we have a much higher line painting invoice than $53,000? I'm remembering something wrong.
Nope.
Okay, I'm remembering something.
Because if it was over 50, we'd have to bid it.
Yeah,
I believe it came in at like 46.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
okay. I just was
The
remembering.
crack ceiling you were thinking, maybe?
Oh, right. Okay, thank you. Yep.
And then finally, the landfill monitoring. So you'll see it's highlighted here. When I printed it, I didn't have the number. It's 33,500, pretty similar. We're going to expect a little bit of increase every year with wages and cost of living and inflation and all that good stuff. So that's for the annual monitoring, all the sampling, all that good stuff. So that's all just to stay in compliance with the landfill. Several years to make it consistent. All right, so as you flip the spreadsheets with the yellow header, those are the ones that the town uses. So every department has a spreadsheet that looks just like this. So the first one you come to is snow and ice. And essentially what it shows is it shows the last couple of years, and then it shows the FY27 request, the change, and the percent as you go left to right. So that's kind of what I had outlined, 295. If you flip to the next page, you'll see it has everything else that's not snow and ice. This one's a little misleading because the street lights in the landfill monitoring are zeroed out because I didn't have those numbers.
Yeah.
Just for reference, if I put in the new numbers, the 0.59% increase, it turns to about 2.84%. So we're keeping it under 3% for the DPW. I think that's pretty impressive. I think the town should be pretty happy with that.
It's actually hard to believe.
And that is not, we're content with this budget
I know.
from an operations standpoint. So as we continue to flip, you're going to get to the line by line operation budget. So this is the individual line items that you see when we give you a report on the warrant reports. Just kind of going down some changes. If you look at the percent increase line, light and power parks, again, it went up a little bit, but that's just basing it off the 3-year average, went up $200. Water for the DPW facility went down by $50. Fuel went down by a little bit. So I do a fuel memo every year for all the departments based on past deliveries and forecasts from, I think it's DOR, of what they think that fuel is going to cost in the next, fiscal year. It's obviously impossible to gauge, but we can guess. Work order, just that annual subscription went up a little bit. Uniforms went up a little bit. Fleet maintenance, again, based on the 3-year average, that went up a little bit. Parts are more expensive. Dropped stock down by just a little bit, just because we haven't used that line item as much. But other than that, everything else is staying pretty consistent. The total expense budget of $387,750. No new line items. The line items are staying the same. Every year we kind of tweak a little bit, you know, we change vehicle maintenance to fleet maintenance. It's just stuff that works internally for us for tracking and whatnot.
Well,
That's expense. As you move through, you'll get to the fuel portion. So this is the memo that we write every year. It's, we kind of go through the past numbers, through the future projection numbers, so you can see how many gallons the town ordered, how much it cost, the average price, the high price, the low price from 2022 all the way through year to date FY 26. So that's through the November 24th fuel delivery that we got. And it kind of explains that, you know, our average price was $3 for gas, I think, and $3.51 for diesel, and then it compares it to what is projected for the beginning of FY 27, and then it gets factored based on that. So you can see on the table that has all the different departments how much fuel dollars is projected to be used by each department. So we break ours down into DPW, water, DPW gas, DPW water, DPW diesel, and snow and ice, because snow and ice fuel is paid for out of the snow and ice budget. So, yeah. So the number you're seeing in our budget is DPW gas plus DPW diesel. It does not include water gas, that's in the water budget, and it does not include snow and ice fuel, that's in the snow and ice budget. Okay. Any questions on that? As you flip to the next page, that's your trash breakdown. So this is the spreadsheet that you guys saw. It shows the different fiscal years from left to right. So FY 26, which is our current, 27 and 28. And then it shows the possible percent increases we could see. Minimum 4, excuse me, maximum 7 with an estimated of 5. So if you see this year, we were 750, 966. We simply moved over to FY 27, which is 788, 515. And then if that holds true next year, we'll move over to FY 28, 827, 942. So that's how we were estimating trash, and I provided this table so that everyone knew exactly that. Any questions on that?
do we have commentary from the finance committee about what they want to do?
Yeah, you want to talk about that now, or
It's up to you.
let's talk about it in the super update.
Okay, all right.
It doesn't affect anything for this.
No, it wouldn't affect us.
Any questions on operating? We'll look at capital real quick. You guys had looked through capital at the last meeting. The yellow box that you see is what we just discussed. So we'll have that come in. The TBD for the DPW facility, that'll come in like February. I'll have a better idea of what the plan is going to be going forward at that time. But yeah, other than that, it's what we discussed at the last meeting. So that's and then behind it, if you want some light reading, is the individual capital request forms for each project that were requested. So moving on to water operating, and now reach over to your little pocket in the front, and pull out that sheet on the left, the sheet that looks like this. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So after the budget woes that we had this past year, I know I've talked about it a number of times, we created a 10-year water budget. So what you see here is the gray columns on the left, FY 23, 24, 25, 26. Those are the approved amounts for the lines on the left. So the lines on the left line up with what we're going to talk about for the budget in a minute. Water expense, wages, water expense, water benefits, all that good stuff. The green is what we're proposing for this year. And then the white to the right is future projections of what those numbers could be. So that we know what we may be looking at into the future. So I just wanted to point that out to you. So essentially what it does is it takes the wages number and it just assumes 5%. It takes the expense number, it assumes 3. Benefits assumes 10, which might be low, quite frankly. Right now we're at 16. It shows some additional debt for future water main replacement, which you can see gets picked up again in FY 29, again in FY 33, and again in FY 37. And that's looking at our budgets and where they fall with our rate revenue and where they fit into our design, our projects, you know. And then it has the indirect costs, which have 3% on it. Those items that I just rattled off bring you what's called the total budget from rates. Those items that I read need to be paid for with current year rates, not with retained earnings and things like that. That's poor practice. From retained earnings, which is money that was earned but not spent, that's where your capital comes from. So your capital items that are not borrowing and your reserve fund. Okay. So on the reserve fund, if you look at that, next year I'm proposing to increase it from 40 to 50,000.
Good.
And then in FY 30 it goes to 60, and 33 to 70, and eventually to 80. And we can decide what we want to do from there. But 40,000 is quite low, I think. You know, and if you remember, if it's not spent, say that again. Too far out, isn't it? I didn't like doing this. If it's not spent, it goes back to retained earnings and gets reappropriated. So idea that being from retained earnings, it's not raised directly from rates, or it doesn't directly impact rates. So that's that. So put that to the side for a minute. We can get more into that, back into that. Let me just go through the individual sections. So water wages. So this item covers for the water department hourly staff. There's 4 employees included in that, 3 on the water department and Sue. Different from the DPW, these employees still have steps and have been here for longer. So that's why you see the percentage to be higher. Carrying 3%, if that changes, it'll change. And then these numbers will get readjusted. It won't necessarily impact the DPW budget, but it'll impact this budget, because this budget we look at rates. So we'll reassess that. Let's hope it doesn't change. Water expense. So again, looking at the 3-year breakdown, very similar increase to DPW expense, so about 2.5%. And we'll go through the line by line in a moment once we get there. Reserve fund, like I said, we're going to look to increase it $10,000 from 40 to 50,000. Again, just to try to bolster up those reserves. I think it's good practice for us. God forbid something happens, we should be able to cover it.
Right.
Water benefits, another number that could easily change. Because water is an enterprise fund, the health insurance for the current employees and for the past employees is paid from the water rates. So that includes retirees of the water department and current employees who are on our health insurance. So We're looking at a 16% increase in health insurance this year. Now we'll know the actual number in January. And again, that will change this budget. But right now we're looking at a 16%. We're carrying a 16%. So it's a big number, a big increase. Moving on to water debt. So water debt actually is going down, and that's just because we haven't borrowed anything recently. And every year that you pay off a premium, it goes down on certain types of loans. We have some of those loans, so it's about a 4% decrease this year, which is great. You can see the loans that we have here on the left, the amount, total amount, the date we borrowed, the date they're wiped out, and then the obligation. That should say FY27 obligation. Sorry, it says 26. And so that's the payment for this year. And then there's a table that I'll show you in a little bit that shows all the payments for all the years.
Okay, good.
And where that goes. And then finally, moving on to the indirects, the DPW salary, that's 25% of the DPW salary line item. And the other items, well, that's anyways, accounting, treasurer, and town administrator, those come from the town hall. So essentially what we do is we take the omnibus budget, we take the water budget, we do a factor. So the water budget is related, it's not a part of the omnibus budget, but it's 0.05%. And then we do the math on that. It gets you what it ends up being. Or maybe it's 0.5 or something like that. So that's how that gets calculated out. So it went up a little bit this year, but some of that was contractual stuff at the town hall. Didn't go up much on our side. So that's the end of that. So kind of flipping through, if we flip to the next page, the expense budget. Fuel's gone down a little bit, just like DPW. Water analytical testing has gone up significantly. It's what we're seeing with the PFAS testing that we're doing. That the increased PFAS testing came in last December or January, halfway through the year, so we weren't able to account for it in the budget for this year. So that's where we're at there. Knock the hydrant line down a little bit just to kind of.
Do you think the 40 grand for that testing is?
Well, I think that's in the ballpark. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Work order system went up just like it went up on the DPW side. It's split 50-50 that bill. Small decrease in vehicle maintenance just based on historical. Decrease in meters because we're going to have some meter money in the capital and we haven't been spending out that item. Increase in billing expense because we've been seeing that increase. It's what it costs to print, mail, envelopes, all that stuff. It's very expensive. And also it covers some of the fees for like the billing program and all that kind of stuff. And then Leominster Water ticked up a little bit, but again, that's just line by line. Maybe their rates went up. Pretty low line item in general, but it's a little under 3% increase overall. The next page is that water debt calculation I was talking about. So instead of the individual projects being on the left-hand column, they're across the top. And you can see like for the UV disinfection, we have 2 more payments to make, FY27, FY28, and then that knocks off. The water meters one, then we get to much more current debt. So you can kind of see how the debt numbers change year by year, depending on how it was borrowed and what the numbers are. So that's why all the way on the right-hand side is the total borrowing for each year. Finally, you get to the same fuel memo. I just include it because it relates to this budget.
Yep.
And that's what I've got for water expense. Any questions on that? Moving into water capital, it's just what I showed you guys at the last meeting. We're trying to keep capital about 200,000 this year. And looking ahead to water main, next water main, where it would fit in our budget would be around FY 29. So not next year, next year after. And then the individual project sheets.
How are we doing right now with water line replacement overall? Is a status kind of where we at roughly?
Really happy to have Redstone done.
Oh, yeah,
That's all
yeah,
we've done.
I know.
So that, you know.
We have a lot more to do, but
Yeah, we did endless projects.
yeah,
You know, but it's a big undertaking. So
I just wanted that to be said.
yeah, we could replace water main every year for the next 100 years and still be replacing water main probably. You know, but it's not feasible
But
budget wise, you know, we have other things we have to deal with as well, which is a huge piece. So it's balancing water main with everything else, you know. I think that getting Redstone done was a huge, I think we've noticed the results.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a big piece. Can I take you guys back to this sheet again? Real quick, I wanna review the bottom part. So the bottom part is kind of what you guys have been asking for, what we should have been doing all along is looking closely at rate increases and looking ahead at rate increases. And these numbers are very theoretical. They're just stuff that I put in. So using the data at the top, we brought it down to a column or a row that I call needed rate revenue. So that's how much revenue we need to generate on that given year to cover the budget that I have outlined up above, you know. And then it looks at the previous year's revenue or needed revenue, and it looks at a percentage. So you'll see that, you know, this year we were able to cover a lot of our quote unquote shortcomings with like the past projects that we were able to reallocate, stuff that we never really finished that we were able to reassign. So to make up for that, we're looking at probably another 10% increase in water rates for next fiscal year. And then it drops down from there. And you'll see that I kind of trailed the rate increases down 10, 8, 7, 5. You know, there's ways to massage these and move them around and lower them down. But you'll see as on the bottom where it says remaining funds, right? So the remaining funds is funds expected to be raised over and above the budget. Right. And that's how we bolster back our retained earnings and things like that to be able to do capital projects and whatnot. And you'll see that as we get further out, and a lot of it has to do with borrowing, of course, because borrowing is expensive. You know, we start to actually put some money into our reserves, which is what we need to do to be able to undertake these large projects like PFAS treatment and things like that. And that's coming, you know, that's going to be an impact here that isn't accounted for because we don't have that data information yet. And I'd be throwing random things out there and I don't want to do that. But as we get into probably February, we'll bring this spreadsheet back and we'll hammer out what we want to do for a rate increase because we'll have better numbers on benefits and all that kind of stuff at that time. And we'll have a more firm budget, but this will come back, this spreadsheet, but I wanted you guys to have it now. It's kind of what I've been working on. So for future planning, I don't want to end up in the same position that we were in. Any questions on any of that?
I just think it's wonderful that we have all these numbers. And I know how much work has gone into this. And I'm repeating myself, and I'm sure you guys will say the same thing in your own way, but thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it gets easier every year, I'll tell you that much. 'Cause
How much of this was done previously?
I built all the systems.
Yeah,
But, yeah, not much. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I've tried when I first got here to figure out how it would done. I'm sure there was a system, I just can't. I could never figure it out, so.
We couldn't
Well,
either.
we couldn't either, and again, thank you.
I know you guys appreciate it, and that makes it easy to do. You know what I mean?
Well, it just makes the
It just
decision points easier.
Yep,
Everything easier.
Yeah,
And you know your budget, you know your,
yep. When people ask
can't
you,
do it, you can't do it.
when people ask you what's going on, you have all the information,
yep.
you know?
Amazing.
Project update, you ready, Blaine, for that?
Yeah, why don't you go?
So we'll start with the DPW facility. Of course, our article, did not pass. Thank you for those who came out to that meeting. I think in the end, I keep reminding people, we were not intending to go to this meeting. We didn't call this meeting. We went to this meeting as MBTA called the meeting. We got a ton of information out there. I heard from so many people concerned that no one knows about this project. Everyone now knows about this project. It's not a hidden thing. It's everyone knows about it. And we still have all the funds we need to continue through our schematic design process, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to repackage this. We're going to shrink it a little bit. We're going to lower those costs, and we're going to come back with a different approach, different package that hopefully is more palatable to the townspeople. So that's our goal, to come back in the spring with that. Moving on to scheduled road work, that's done for 2026. We got our top on Redstone, we got our lines painted, everywhere but Redstone, but that's okay. Yeah, got our drainage, good to go.
I think we have to
One
do,
slippery road.
again, we have to say, and so anybody watching this will hear that Redstone will be repaved after it goes through a frost.
The other half,
Yeah.
next year.
Right,
Oh,
and that we're not doing it intentionally because it has to go through a frost cycle.
They just finished up there anyways,
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, they just finished, so.
But some people just don't seem to understand it, so I think we have to sort
Let me
of.
tell you something, I drove down it the other day, and it's not as bad as the far end was.
No. Right. Could be
I
worse.
think Patty did a better job on asphalt.
Oh,
You do?
I disagree.
Oh, I don't know about that. See, the thing that Oliveira
I
had
don't
going for it is they actually used a paper where Ricciardi did a lot of raking.
I just think that end of the road was in worse shape when they started digging
It
it up.
was just,
Yeah.
I remember when it was dirt all of the time.
Well, I'm happy that you don't think it's that bad.
I don't
We've
think
had them
it's
come back
bad
a
at
couple
all.
times already to have them hit it.
I really don't think it's bad at all.
Good. It's a little bumpy to plow, but they'll get over it.
Slow down.
well, that's,
Yeah. So I mean, we had a great year. Getting Pratt's done is just a huge weight for us in the winter.
I asked Alan, I said, how was the plan? He goes, wow.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No, he just said it cleaned so quick. I spent less time on it because it
Yeah.
cleaned quicker, and that was like, that's good to hear.
Right. That's the goal. And that's kind of an unrecognized reason to pave. We see it all the time. Like the salt use on those roads go way down. Even Andy used to talk about how tough it was to clean that into Redstone.
Well, you don't have all the holes and
Right.
divots that retain the snow and
Yep.
ice.
Even with the moving
You gotta
edges.
keep going back.
Yeah, guys that are meticulous when we did Justin.
Four tire tracks.
Up in the north and stuff, the plow guy out there was meticulous, so he would try to clean it the best that he could, and the road was heaving, so it just makes it easier.
It does. So good year. The only thing we didn't get done, we want to get done was campground, and that's because for factors outside of our control. So we'll get that done next year, I hope. Sweat Hill, so we did not get appealed by the DEP on the Conservation Commission's decision, so that is full steam ahead at this point. We were afraid that we might get an appeal. They've just been appeal happy on conservation decisions. There's a couple culverts in there that maybe could be like box culverts or much bigger monstrosities, and we had kind of proposed them as pipes. They didn't appeal it, so
Those are big pipes.
Yeah, they're big pipes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're permitted now, and that I'm hoping to see it out to bid in like February, March, which is a good timing. Early in the year, get some hungry contractors and
You got it.
get that going. PFAS, so our latest results were just over the 21.5. I want to point out that for the last 2 sample rounds, the well that has the lowest PFAS has been offline because we need to replace the pump. That well, we sampled it today, come back online, so we'll sample it. We're waiting to sample all 3 wells and for December. But that's why the results have trended a little bit higher. They would have been significantly lower if we had had that on. But we got to take our monthly samples. So just again, and so we did get the grant because MBTA zoning passed. So we got the grant for that full study, which is great. That study's underway. And we'll have more to come in the future of recommendations. And finally, the West Sterling generator project, we have had numerous meetings with the consultants, and we're kind of in a back and forth battle with the contractor right now over like temporary power. And if you remember when the building flooded, on the flood, we lost all our drawings for that building. They're trying to call the different engineering companies who worked on it back in the day to see if we can find what's called the IO drawings, the input output. So if you open up a panel in a water system, there's 1,000 wires there, each in a screw terminal with a number. Well, each wire goes to an individual thing, but we don't know what they go to because we don't have drawings for it because they were destroyed. So we're trying to find, we found like half the drawings from an engineering firm. We're trying to find those so that when they put the new panels in, they can land them, and we're kind of working through some.
So they were in there? They were in?
The drawings, yeah,
Were-
in the UV building, yeah. And so we're trying to find the different companies who maybe worked on them. Of course, there's no like, it wasn't big to have them on PDF back in the day or whatever. Now everything we have is electronic, so.
But it would not happen anyway.
Right.
Other things.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I got.
Go ahead. Superintendent's update.
All right. We're currently up to 4 snow and ice events for the season. One of those 4 being plowing. So systems have been running well overall. We're continuing to work on a few kinks, but nothing major. We were short-staffed by 3 personnel in our first plowing event, and with the help of outside drivers who are driving our vehicles, so that's been great. This is the first year we are 100% no contractors. So we are 100% on Sterling DPW. We've been using the contractor less and less, and we felt that we could do it all in-house. So we are 100% Sterling forces. So we're pretty proud of that. And yeah, so we're in winter mode. It's cold. Snow hasn't gone away yet.
How many men are we down?
Right now, we're down 2. One out injured, and then they're retired. We just hired a new person. I give you his resume is in here. So we had him start. So his name is Brandon Hill. He comes to us from WL French Excavating. He has his hoisting. He has some good equipment experience. He does not have a CDL. We interviewed 3 people. The candidate pool isn't huge, but we were really happy with his experience, at least having some experience on that side, and he seems to have a great demeanor, young kid, had great references from the people we talked to. And so he started with us Monday. He's fit in quite well. I think will be a good candidate for us. He was driving to Haverhill every day. Like, I can't do this. So, good young kid. We will, just like we did for our other employees, eventually send him to CDL school. My plan is to wait at least a year. Get him through 4 seasons, make sure that we're happy, he's happy before we invest, something like that. So that's where we're at there. We're planning to run our annual Christmas Overflow Trash program on Monday, December 29th and Tuesday, December 30th. So the dumpster will be available to residents for bagged overflow trash in the DPW from 7 to 3:30. And we have a post up on the website notifying residents of that same program as last year. I have included a snow and ice flyer that has either gone out or is going to go out in the SML due bills. We did this last year to remind residents of snow removal operations and different winter weather tips. So that's went out. Unfortunately, on the back side of the flyer, we made a nice flyer about Code Red, which is now defunct. Code Red was hacked by some sort of cyber scammers and is no longer a thing. They have transferred to a different platform called Crisis 24. We believe that the database from Code Red transferred as well. So if you are a member of Code Red, you should remain. We are in the infancy stages of like trying it out, testing it. Unfortunately, this nice document that says how to sign up and all that was useless. It couldn't have come at a worse time, but that's kind of frustrating. Thank you to Jenna for putting this together. But so if something happens and you don't get a Code Red message, it's because we don't have it right now. Thank you to the fire department. They're working with us to try to get that back up. Sterling received what's called a state earmark. So an earmark isn't a grant. It's like a sum of money provided to the state, provided to the town at the request of the town administrator. So thank you, Bill, for this, for design and study work at the West Sterling well site for the access road. So that access road has been an issue for a long time. It's flooded out 3 times since I've been here, most notably in the 9/11 rains, to the point where you can't even access the water station. We fix it, it washes away because the river comes up and takes it with it. So this will be surveying, coming up with different concepts of how we raise it up. It's a sensitive area to work in. We don't have a lot of property. We own a strip of land that there's a house on the left and a river on the right. That's DCR. So DCR is pro this project because what happens is it picks up a lot of sediment and washes it into the river. So they are pro the project, which is helpful to us. We'll see what we can come out of it. It's always nice to get stuff you don't have to pay for. So it's a project that we've wanted to do for a while, but it just hasn't been a priority. We've had other priorities. So
Is it?
Huh?
Is it?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. But
The most part is when it comes out from under the bridge.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's so, there's no stream bed. There's nothing. It's so shallow and
It
so
just
wide.
shoots right across.
Yep.
Dries up in summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can see it's so flat, any increase in water.
Increase from 140 right down higher, right down to the tree line.
You've seen it pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 1 year?
I remember Mr. C and his little green ranger stuck in the middle of it.
I never forget Mike showed up on his muck boots on 9/11 and it was like, oh, I ain't going down there.
I thought, he said, oh, there's someone, the water was pretty bad down the road. I was like, I've probably seen it worse. I walk up to my
See ya.
Yeah, see me in the one who's reservoirs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. All right, so kind of what Blaine was alluding to earlier, just want to let you guys know, the Finance Committee has expressed interest in possibly implementing some sort of trash and recycling fee. associated with the collection of trash and recycling. They want to do this to help offset the rising costs because the costs go up every year. As you guys remember, there's a bylaw in place that says that we can't do this. So that would have to get changed. Met with them. I think I made it pretty clear, or I want to make it even more clear that this is not a project that I think that we should be championing. We manage our contract. We manage the collection. If this is something that they want to do, it doesn't affect our collection at all. It doesn't affect our contract. It doesn't affect anything like that. I think that they should do it if they want to do it.
But to restate that a little bit, you and I agreed that we didn't want to change it.
Right.
Because it's too complicated. We have a contract and we don't want to change the contract.
Right. So what I will
right?
say is that Bill and I met with a consultant last week and just like kind of some brief talks about it. And she said, you have one of the best contracts I've seen across the state. She said there are way, way, way worse contracts out there, way higher percentages. She's like, you guys have a pretty good deal here. I said, okay, I'm really happy to hear that because at least we're not outrageous. You know what I mean? And we just signed it, which is the good news, you know? So I just wanted to give you a heads up that it's something that they're starting to look into. You may hear some rumblings about. My perspective, we manage the contracts. We make sure that the people have the bins and the trash is picked up. If the town feels that they should charge an extra fee, then they can attempt to do that. It's on them. We have no mechanism to bill it here. In Holden, I pay a fee every month. It's billed through my light bill, you know, but our water bills don't reach everybody. So we have no mechanism to bill it. All that stuff would have to get figured out on the town level. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is something that they're looking at. And then I'll be meeting with them.
Right.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's in the pipeline. More to come. We'll see. I don't know that anything would change in May. I think it's too soon. I don't know that anything would change, but we'll see.
Well, I think that they have to change. They have so many mechanisms that they have to address, but none of them have anything to do with us. We have to make sure that stays, that people understand this because,
Tell them, blame.
you know, well, it's frustrating. I mean, we can see that just on these spreadsheets, we're going to be 800,000, 900,000. This is what's going to happen. And it's, again, out of our control.
Trash has gone up significantly, and it's a big number to begin with. So, I mean, next to schools, it's one of the higher numbers, you know?
Right. This is why the finance committee, and it's their job to do this, to look at these numbers and say, well, is there any way we can start charging for some of this?
Right.
And, so they're going to be talking about it, and yeah, we all need to know about that.
Yeah.
I guess that's all.
We received a grant award for about $20,000 for snow and ice equipment. So that's the one we had talked about. So this grant will offset the cost of our new brine trailer, along with numerous plow blade upgrades, particularly on our smaller trucks. So all our smaller trucks will have moving edges once this is done. And last but not least, for you guys, we're going to hold our department Christmas party on Tuesday, December 23rd from 12 to 1:30. So you guys are more than welcome to come, as usual. I'll be here at the DPW. So for everyone else, holiday hours at the DPW, 7 to noon on Wednesday the 24th, closed the 25th. We'll be open Friday the 26th. And 7 to noon on Wednesday the 31st, closed the 1st, open the 2nd. So those are the holiday hours, and those are from the town. They're doing the same thing. So have a Merry Christmas.
I got a question. How's that poor trucks that get plugged in outside?
Cold. Right now, very cold.
Yep,
Just wanna make sure, you know?
Yep,
yeah,
Make sure the plugs work.
yeah.
to test them,
You know?
electrical upgrades needed.
Just, we get everybody to their calls, with
Yeah.
plugged in trucks.
Yeah,
The 911.
unbelievable. Okay, so is that it?
That's all I got.
Anybody have any
Enough.
future agenda items? You guys? Paul, Mikey, any?
Christmas.
Nothing? Okay,
Happy
so it's done at 8:32.